All Jamahl Mosley ever says is we do things by committee, by committee, by committee. What does that even mean? We learned that on Saturday. Unfortunately, the thing I really want to learn is what era of Taylor Swift that Cole Anthony is. I want to know that, Cole. What era are you? We'll answer some of those questions. Probably not that last one on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 11th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipR_OMD 1989. By the way, now I've messed up my whole intro spiel. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic survived the Chicago Bulls in overtime. Why the by committee ethos paid off for the Magic. Who stepped up that you wouldn't expect? Plus, Franz Wagner in his groove. There's no era for him. We're in the Franz era of the season right now. We'll get to what Franz has been doing lately and go through the box score as well. Before we do any of that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. If you're like me, and you're probably not, because I'm your avatar and I sit there. But if you listen to Jamahl Mosley's press conferences and listen to him talk, one of the coachisms that he says is we are going to do things by committee. We want to be a team that doesn't necessarily have a top scorer or a top guy. We are a team that is going to be able to adapt to what the game presents us. And everyone is going to be able to step up and have their moment. We're going to be able to trust everyone to play that way. Now, that's all well and good. Like, that's a great ideal to have. I'm all for it. You know, like when I play 2K, I hate the times when they challenge you to score 50 points. I did the 70-point challenge the other day to get the pink diamond Joel Embiid. I did that. I don't like doing that. I like balanced scoring. I like spreading the ball around. I like moving and passing and all that stuff. It's great in theory, but look, we all know there's a pecking order. We all know how good Paolo Banchero is. We'll get to him in a minute. We all know how good Franz Wagner is. We'll get to him in a minute. Good players are good. No one's going to complain about having a good player here. It's this whole by committee approach is more an ideal and an ethos than something you necessarily actually practice or you actually implement. I think at one point in the season I actually had a draft for an article saying that it's the by committee approach that's actually holding this team back, that they need to let Paolo dominate games or Franz dominate games and not necessarily and be a little selfish. Honestly, I think that is something that is still a struggle, is to let those guys be selfish. But at the end of the day, I think what the ultimate message is a message that I know I have shared on this show before. An 82-game season is very, very long. And everyone on your roster is going to be called upon at some point during the season to contribute, to make an impact, to do something. And whether they step up to the plate or not is going to determine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, maybe. That could be the difference between the play-in tournament and the 6th seed. And so everyone has got to be ready. Everyone's got to be prepared. And so we get to Saturday's game against the Bulls. The Magic were struggling, to say the least. A bad third quarter. They led the entire first quarter, or first half. They played they played well, but not great. Turned the ball over a lot, but were surviving. Chicago made a run to make it a 2-point deficit at the half. And then they burned a 9-0 run to take the lead and take control of the game, leading by as much as 11 in the game. I thought it was 12, but as much as 11 in the game. Orlando was climbing uphill, and now all those flaws that they papered over in the first half were suddenly very, very real and very, very damaging. The turnovers, the offensive rebounds, all that stuff. And so the Magic clawed their way back in it. They're down by 5 with about 9 minutes to go. They're resting Jonathan Isaac. Paolo Banchero is taking his normal break. We all know they're going to close. We all know Franz is going to close. The logic says you go back to Wendell Carter and Jalen Suggs. But Jamahl Mosley makes a decision that was going to be the focus no matter what happened. If the Magic lose this game, we'll talk about what was he thinking? What was he doing? This is another instance where he, gambled and bet on a bench group carrying the momentum through the end of the game, and they weren't able to do it. He's done that in the past. People criticized that then. I've been I actually get it. I'm not totally against it. Obviously it didn't work, but I'm not, sometimes it didn't work, sometimes it did. But we know he likes to do that sometimes. And if it works, we're going to have the conversation we're going to have now. Yes, this is a results business. Process over results, but this is a results business. This plan worked. And so with 9 minutes left in the game, Jamahl Mosley inserts Goga Bitadze into the lineup. Now, Goga Bitadze started earlier in the year. They know how good he can be. He had not played more than 10 minutes in any game since January 19th against the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a guy that they know they can count on, but they know is very limited. And so at this critical juncture in the game, with the game on the line, the Magic didn't go back to their starting center, who they rely on and believe is a very strong defender. They went to their third string center. I don't think this was a sign of desperation. I think the Magic looked at the lineup, and Andre Drummond was out there at the time, and said, we need some more size. We need to just match up with them pound for pound. And Bitadze stepped up to the plate. Look, we could criticize the process of that decision or anything like that. The results worked. Bitadze played great. He made a bunch of really important and big plays. He helped lock down the glass through the end of the fourth quarter. The turnovers went down. The Magic erased that 5-point deficit, built a 5-point lead of their own, and part of that was because of Bitadze. And then in overtime, he continued to make plays. Sure, he finishes with only 5 points and 2 rebounds, but that's not the point necessarily. He helped lock down Nikola Vucevic. He helped collapse the paint and defend the paint. He did his job. And when he was called on at a huge moment, he stepped up. This is the ethos. This is what it means to play by committee. The other player that filled in alongside those three, because of course Franz and Paolo finished, was Cole Anthony, a player who's been averaging 6 points per game in his last 10, mired in a humongous shooting slump, just struggling mightily, shooting 42% from the floor. And look, Cole didn't shoot great in this game, only 5 for 11, 1 for 5 from 3 for 14 points, but he was getting in the lane. He was mixing it up for rebounds. He had a double-double with 11 rebounds. Crazy for him. We know he's a good rebounder for a guard. But he was getting into the lane. Chicago wasn't attacking him. They were sticking with DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic for the most part. They didn't go to Kobe White very much, or Ayodasumnu, or whoever else that Cole Anthony was guarding. They didn't attack him. And that enabled Orlando to take advantage of his strengths. And they stuck with him. They believed in him. He made plays, made some critical shots in the fourth quarter, got some critical rebounds. He made plays. And obviously, at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves. The Magic win 114-108 in overtime. We can certainly criticize perhaps Goga Bitadze fouling DeMar DeRozan on the game-tying and one. I think the offense did get a little bit cramped with Bitadze out there. I think we'll talk a little bit more. I think that the Magic certainly missed having Wendell Carter as a shooting option. Bitadze, I would say doesn't always have the greatest court awareness of where to go when he doesn't have the ball. But it worked. And at the end of the day, this is what matters. This is what's important. When the Magic called upon these players for big minutes, for important minutes, they stepped up. They stepped up to the plate. And that's all you can ask for. Again, everybody on this roster is liable and going to be needed at some point. Like, I truly believe that every player on your roster is going to be called on at some point. That's what happens in an 82-game season. And the Magic have called on Goga Bitadze before, but now that he's out of the rotation, they called on him again. And this guy was ready. This guy knew the game plan. He executed the game plan, and he stepped up. That's what it means to be by committee. And you didn't see Wendell Carter or Jalen Suggs moping on the sidelines that they weren't in late. You saw them cheering. You saw them backing their guys. Everybody was excited for their success. And obviously it's easy because they won. You know, we're having a very different conversation if they lose. That's the difference between winning and losing in this league. But this is who the Magic want to be. To be able to call upon a player who hasn't played meaningful minutes in a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Throw him out there and have him get the job done. That's what happened Saturday night, and that's how the Magic got a huge win. Of course, as much as we want to talk about the supporting players, and they're really important, this game was all about Franz Wagner, the tear that Franz Wagner's on, and how he found his groove. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word for our friends over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals who are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion, that's with a B, professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process very easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Why don't you? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Locked On has now launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now you can also find it on Amazon Fire TV. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts like me of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find the Locked On Sports Today channel now on Amazon Fire TV. Look, I love talking about the role players. I'm glad we could give Goga Bitadze a spotlight. Cole Anthony had a really nice bounce back game. He's strung together 2 solid games now. So hopefully this little cold stretch is coming to an end. But let's be real, guys. Like, this league's about the stars, and the Magic right now really do have 2 players who are playing at an all-star level. I know you're going to look at the box score and not think much of Paolo Banchero's game. 19 points, 5 for 13 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3, 7 for 8 from the foul line, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 turnovers. You're not going to think a whole lot. He had a really good game. I thought he played pretty well. Some things to clean up, but I thought he generally played pretty well. Just very, very focused on breaking down the defense. And Chicago was sending doubles his way. They were over helping. They were overloading the strong side. they were forcing Paolo to become a passer. And I think to his credit, he did a very good job watching the defense, figuring out where the doubles were coming from, maybe a little too passive at times, but generally did a great job sucking the defense in and then passing to open space and getting guys going. This was a game where the Bulls were frankly daring Franz Wagner or somebody else to beat them. And Franz Wagner stepped up to the plate. Honestly, didn't even just step up to plate. He took the plate, put some chicken wings on it, put some nachos on it, put whatever food you have for your party tomorrow, and was like, I'm eating all of this. And that's that. He ate up this game. I mean, the final stat line says it all. 36 points, 12 for 22 shooting, 5 for 12 from 3, 7 for 10 from the foul line, 5 assists for Franz. He was the star of the show. And it's not even just that he was the star of the show. It was also that he carried the team. He scored 14 of the Magic's 21 points in the fourth quarter, had 2 just tremendously huge step back threes that got the Magic within 1. The comeback happened because of the energy that Franz brought to the game. This comeback happened because Franz Wagner played like a freaking superstar. And frankly, that's how he's played since coming back from injury. And the 10 games leading into this one, since January 21st when he returned from the ankle injury, he's averaging 21 points per game, shooting 51.3% from the floor and 39.7% from 3. He's shooting 90% from the foul line on 3 free throw attempts per game, an area where he even admits he has to get a little bit better. On top of this, Franz has scored 30 points now in 3 of his last 4 games. 38 against Detroit, had 13 against Miami, 34 against San Antonio, now 36 against Chicago. Franz is getting downhill. It's some floaters, but it's all layups at the rim. He's so good at protecting the ball and getting to the basket, or 3-pointers. And now the 3-pointer is going down when it wasn't earlier in the season. Franz looks like he's found his groove. And look, Paolo is more than happy to rack up assists, dishing it to Franz Wagner, getting him involved and making the defense ease off of him. That's ultimately the end game here, is to get the defenses to stop doubling Paolo. Stop doubling Paolo. We want to see him work and cook. That's okay, because all that attention has given Franz Wagner the opportunity to attack, and he has taken full advantage of it. This is the dual threat that we thought we were going to have. And look, they're still very, very young. They're going to get better, especially as the Magic begin to shuffle personnel a little bit to find the right guys to surround him with. But Franz is really good. He's really, really good. He was able to get to the basket, able to get to finish around guys. He's getting to the foul line a little bit more. It's still a work in progress, but this was Franz at his best. This was Franz just taking over. And we haven't really seen him take over a game like this. That was all-star stuff, what he did at the start of the fourth quarter, what he did in the fourth quarter to get the Magic into the game. And everything at the end of the game was running through him. He was running pick and rolls with Batadze. He was the guy that the Bulls had to start doubling because they could not stop him. And again, this is what we thought we were getting, because it's been a struggle for Franz this year. He's looked a little bit off. All his percentages are down. Yes, he's entering the game averaging a career high 20.9 points per game. Yes, entering the game, he was averaging 47. He was shooting 47.7%, which is better than his rookie year, by the way. But 31.7% from 3, the worst of his career. A lot of his numbers are up. His free throw attempts are up. His assists are up. His scoring is obviously up. But it's been a struggle of efficiency. He's not finishing. He wasn't finishing at the rim the way we were used to. Certainly not hitting threes the way he was used to. That now has changed. Now Wagner is playing like the advanced version that we expected. The guy that we thought could flirt with an all-star game. And look, again, the by committee approach is great. I messed up my computer there. I love that ethos. I love the idea, and I love what Coach Mosley's going for. But this is still about the stars. This is still about your best players stepping up when you need them to. And that's what Franz did. Paolo did it too. I don't want to take away from Paolo. Paolo did it too in a different way, but the Magic do not win this game without Franz Wagner being a star level player like this. And right now he is doing it more often. He's doing it more regularly. He's looking healthy. He's looking aggressive. He's looking rested. I know a lot of people thought that maybe he was just playing too much coming out of the World Cup. He looks rested. He looks ready to go. Missing those 3 weeks might have been the best thing for him because it got us this version of Franz that frankly can't be stopped. He had 2 huge step back threes that just ignited the crowd, ignited the bench, ignited the team, forced a timeout. Just, he can't be stopped when he's like this. And the Magic have 2 guys like that now. That's just how it is. Magic have 2 guys like that. And that's why they won this game. Franz is why they won this game. And it was really impressive to see. We'll dive into the box score, talk about some other players. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from our friends over at Nissan. Are you the kind of driver who likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Well, our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It has room for up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capability. With 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing, when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop at nissanusa.com. Let's go through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Chicago Bulls 114-108 in overtime. Like I said, the way this game went, the Magic were in control for most of it. They led the entire first half. They got off to a great start once again. Defense was playing really, really well. Chicago was missing shots. Orlando was turning the ball over, but wasn't killing them yet. There's a lot to like. But then the turnovers started to pile up. The Magic got punched in the mouth early in the third. They had 4 turnovers in the third quarter for 10 points. Just getting killed off that. And this game really came down to, okay, are the Magic going to protect the ball? Are the Magic going to do the things they need to do to give themselves a chance? They got to get shots. I mean, they were making shots in this one. They're a better shooting team at home. Were they going to even get shots to put themselves in a position to come back and win? And that's what happened. The Magic were a lot better in that fourth quarter. They were able to get back in the game. They were able to come back. But even then, it wasn't easy. Orlando led by 5 with about a minute to play. They went into kind of clock killing mode. And, I didn't like it. I was sitting there saying, they got to go. You're going too slow. Got to be faster. Got to be faster. They're taking a lot of forced bad jumpers because they're just kind of killing clock, which is always a mistake. DeMar DeRozan had a big game. Even with Jonathan Isaac guarding him, DeMar DeRozan was really big. 28 points for DeRozan, 11 for 24 shooting. He ended up tying the game on a foul, on a very soft foul call on Goga Bitadze for an and one. And then he got a 3 with it. He had a 3 with a chance to win it at the end of regulation when the Magic couldn't get a good shot on their final possession. So the Magic shot themselves in the foot. I don't want to take too much away from Chicago. They played well. They stuck with things defensively. They got hot at the right moment. They scrambled to get up the hill. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I really think Orlando shot, and Chicago did a great job forcing turnovers. They had a great strategy to kind of throw the Magic off rhythm a little bit, force them into some difficult passes and all that. But and the Magic were not sharp passing. But I think a lot of this game was Orlando making mistakes and whether Orlando would overcome them. That's what happened in the fourth quarter. The Magic stopped turning the ball over. Franz got going. That changed the game a little bit and got the Magic some juice and got the Magic with a chance to win. In overtime, Orlando took control. They again had a 5-point lead. DeMar DeRozan got going, but Orlando was able to score. They moved a little bit quicker, executed a lot better. Chicago missed a lot of open shots. Frankly, they still got some offensive rebounds. They had 18 offensive rebounds in the game for 20 points. So a lot of missed opportunities there. I'm sure Chicago's kicking themselves too. They missed a lot of open shots. There was one possession where I think they got 3 or 4 offensive rebounds. They missed like 3 wide open threes in a row before I think DeRozan came in for a dunk and missed the dunk on that possession, I think. It was a wild finish, but credit to Orlando. This was a really mature and gutsy win. They had every reason to fold after they gave up the lead. They were struggling to kind of get out of their own way. They had every reason to fold, but they stuck with it. They kept grinding, and that's a real mature win. Like, again, I get the opponent is maybe the craziest opponent. But these are wins I don't think the Magic make last year. I don't know if they make them earlier in the year, and Chicago's been tricky for them. But they executed. They had control. They won this game. Like they went out there and won it. And I think that, again, there's been a lot of really impressive things that this Magic team has done. This was a really impressive win. I am really impressed with what the Magic were able to do in this victory. Let's go through some numbers on the box score. Again, Franz Wagner, 36 points. I went over his game, just a superstar game from him. Paolo Banchero, 19 points, 5 for 13 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3, 7 for 8 from the foul line, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. Chicago was literally overloading the strong side. They'd have whoever's guarding Paolo, they'd have a player to the left of him in front of the paint, a player to the right of him in front of the paint. They were determined not to let him get downhill and get to the basket. That formation, though, that alignment left skip passes to the opposite corner, to the weak side corner, wide open. And Paolo generally did a very good job firing those passes. They got open shots for Jonathan Isaac, for Jalen Suggs, for Franz Wagner, for Cole Anthony. Paolo generally did a good job breaking down that defense. But I want to make one point about Paolo. End of the third quarter, the Magic really started to pick up some steam and make their run to get back into this game, to trail by 6 entering the fourth quarter. A lot of that was because Paolo took it on himself to get to the basket. It was the most aggressive he was all game. And I think there was a point where Paolo needed to be a little bit more aggressive, but he made some critical plays to get momentum going. So it wasn't the craziest game from Paolo Banchero, but it was a very patient, very mature game from him. Like to see him maybe a little bit more aggressive, but he did his job. He understood who had the hot hand. He understood what the defense was giving him. He's making the right plays. Again, I mentioned it earlier. Something I would like to see is maybe some players be a little bit more selfish at times. But generally, like, Paolo made the right plays. I don't think you can complain too much about that. Off the bench, Cole Anthony had 14 points, 5 for 11 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3, 3 for 4 from the foul line, 11 rebounds for him. Cole was really big, just energy bringing it. He was able to make those little floaters and runners that he makes around the basket. He had 2 really big shots in the fourth quarter, 3 really big shots actually in the fourth quarter, where he just was able to break the defense down off the dribble and hit some short jumpers. It's good to see him get some shots to go down. He's really been struggling with a shot over the last couple of weeks. So honestly, just a really strong effort from Cole. Really liked what I saw from him in general. Jalen Suggs, the only other player in double figures with 13 points, 5 for 9 shooting, 3 for 5 from the floor. 3 turnovers, was a little bit loose with the ball. His handles are not great. But he was making shots early on. He's defending well. I would not have been surprised if the Magic went back to him. I think they stuck with Cole Anthony. Like, the Bulls weren't attacking Cole Anthony on defense. He was giving them something offensively. The rebounding was big, even though he's a small player. It worked. So again, I'm not going to complain too much. They went to Jalen Suggs for some defensive possessions at the end of overtime, but I think it got to a point where the Magic were rolling. Mosley liked the momentum of the group. He was going to ride with them. And then you get to a certain point where other guys have just been on the bench too long. You can't bring them back in. For big moments. It's just too tough. So I thought, was this the time to do it? I disagree with it more than some of the other times that he has done this, where he's stuck with a playing group for a little while. He came back with Paolo, which he had to do. He took Isaac out with the intent of bringing him back in, which he did. And so there's that. Let's talk Jonathan Isaac first, for real fast. We're going to get to him on Tuesday's episode of Locked On Magic too. But Jonathan Isaac, 3 for 8 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 7 points for him. He had 12 rebounds, including 6 offensive rebounds. He was really good. Like, his defense, he had a couple of just crazy blocks. He had 3 blocks in the game. He had a couple of just absolutely bonkers blocks. He got the assignment on DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan still scored because DeRozan's really good at creating separation. He made him really work and generally kept him out of the paint. So he was taking mid-range jumpers, which DeRozan's very comfortable taking. But Isaac's defense was really incredible. And he gave you just enough offensively to be a threat. Like, he made a 3, had a couple putback plays. There's a lot that Jonathan Isaac really did well. And like, everybody just gushes about his defense. It's hard not to. We'll talk more about Isaac here on our next episode, but a really nice game from Jonathan Isaac overall. Just really impactful. And Mo Wagner had 7 points, only played 8:45, so got most of those 7 in the first half. The Magic just needed some size. Like, they were struggling with Andre Drummond. They were struggling with Nikola Vucevic. They needed some size. They needed a different look. They needed some different physicality on those guys. That's why they went to Goga Bitadze. And again, Bitadze delivered. You have to give credit where credit's due. Magic were plus 10 in Bitadze's minutes. So it worked out in the end. The Orlando Magic shoot 46.6% from the floor, 13 for 39 from 3. Solid 3-point shooting game for them, at least. 19 for 26 from the foul line. A lot of missed free throws. 17 turnovers, though, for 31 points. That is your difference in the ball game. That is the big hurdle the Magic have to overcome. They have to be better protecting the ball and valuing possession. That's going to be their white whale for now. They've got to do better with turnovers. And that was a struggle in this game. Chicago shoots 43.4% from floor, 12 for 37 from 3. That's only 32.4%. So the Magic outshoot the Bulls in every way. 10 of 14 from the foul line. So Orlando keeps them off the foul line. 18 offensive rebounds, though, for 20 second chance points. Only 8 turnovers for 9 Magic points. That was a huge factor in this game. But in the end, the Orlando Magic are able to get the win, 114-108. They'll be back in action Tuesday for the most anticipated game of the season, our TNT game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Shaq's jersey retirement. We'll have complete coverage of both of those events on Wednesday's episode of Locked On Magic. But that's good to it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all formats you download podcasts to your podcast enablers. So you can also check us out on YouTube. Search for Locked On Magic or youtube.com/@LockedOnMagic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow us on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. Be sure to check out my Patreon page as well at patreon.com/OrlandoMagicHub. Up on the site, I do have my outlook, my offseason outlook on what the Magic can do with their cap room, or what their cap room will look like. You can check that out again at patreon.com/OrlandoMagicHub. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. You can find that on YouTube and now on Amazon Fire TV. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find the Locked On Sports Today channel now on Amazon Fire TV. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Phil Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.